I could have told you from when I was very young that I was probably never going to have a job. Like I started my first business when I was 13 years old. I was selling t-shirt designs to screamo bands on MySpace. And got started doing that. I learned very young that I could make products and sell them online, and people could pay me with like PayPal and stuff. And so I think I just always saw the opportunity. And so, anytime there was an opportunity to like go interview for a job or whatever, like I had this resistance to it always. It was just this conflict personally for me. And it just didn't make sense. And so, I went through lots of different iterations of businesses and ideas, and all creative and graphic design. And I was developing iPhone apps, and then I was building websites, and then I was branding companies and doing logos and design. I went to school for graphic design. I started a recording studio, started producing music and making YouTube videos. Then I got really into the video side of things, and I started producing commercials for like luxury hotel brands. And all this stuff happened. And then it was 2016 was when I first got introduced to like the online like info world, if you will. And I was introduced to the idea of producing an online course or coaching online or doing that kind of thing. And so and I got introduced to the ClickFunnels world, and started going to FHL and seeing like what other people were doing in this space, and was really intrigued by it because as much as I loved like all the creative things that I was doing or the freelance work, like this seemed like it was more scalable. Okay. And so while all the creative things I was doing were like really serving my creative heart, if you will, they weren't as much serving my entrepreneurial brain, because I knew that I was looking for something that like building a recording studio locally, like just wasn't going to scale the way I wanted it to, ever probably. And a lot of things that I was doing, even though I enjoyed doing them. And so it was a matter of figuring out like, okay, how to create something that now is more scalable. And so I created an online course and coaching, community for filmmakers called Cinema Mastery. And it was at the time when I started, I was running a production company. I had just hit 6 figures a year in my production company, shooting videos and commercials for clients. And that was a big deal for me back then. Like having hit 6 figures in a year, I was like, this is amazing. And I knew there were a lot of filmmakers out there that could benefit from learning how I did that and how I shot the videos I did and how I got clients and everything like that. And that's what I started talking about. I started just kind of sharing that and talking about it, and people started buying it, and we built a community, over the 6 or 7 years that we were doing it, to over 15,000 customers, buyers in 100 countries around the world.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was amazing, like built up this whole community, and that was awesome. And so as far as like getting to the 2 Comma Club award, it was actually one product that changed everything for me. And, they say like it's one funnel, one traffic source, one offer until you hit $1 million. But I think a lot of times we spend like a few years figuring out what that one funnel is going to be. Yeah. And I certainly did. So 3 years into that, of like running this thing and doing webinars and some high ticket stuff and some low ticket stuff and like messing around with everything, 3 years into that, I think I had made about $500,000 in 3 years. Right. So in the first year, this new business made as much as my production company was making. And so I was like, well, this is cool. Yeah, this is happening. So I kind of went all in on it. By the end of 3 years, we'd hit about $500,000, and that was really cool. And then there was a point where we decided to go all in on the one funnel, right? That one product. And we had an idea for a product, and I had heard this from Russell Brunson and from some other mentors, other people, this idea of like focusing. And I was like, we've been doing all this different stuff. Like, what if I just focused? And so I took this product. It was a course called Lighting Secrets, and it was $47, just a mini course on lighting, everything you need to know about lighting to make your videos look nice. And this was very focused on filmmakers and like high-end commercial filmmakers and that kind of thing. And so I created this course. I started selling it. And at first it didn't actually work. We started running ads to it. We were losing money on it. I remember like losing like $10,000 a month on ads to this course. And yeah, the funny thing is, like, when you end the month with less money than you started the month, like, you really start to question your life as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and like, why am I even doing this? What is the point? But that was happening, for a few months, and just trying to figure it out, like, what is going on. But I remember I was like, I decided I was going to focus. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm focused on this one thing. And so rather than just like jumping to another thing, which is what I probably would have done in the past, and what I think a lot of entrepreneurs do, like, this thing isn't working, I'm going to go try something else. I decided, you know what, how can I make this work? How can I make it work? Because people were buying it. It's not like nobody was buying it. There were people interested, but something needed help. And so I started just tweaking and testing and split testing and just going all in on it, changing the littlest things, like changing a few words in the headline that made like a 17% increase in conversions. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Came up with this new video ad that like doubled our conversions. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, started coming up with this stuff. And then I did these split tests where I would like, I was like, I think people are really interested in how low the price is on this. So I'm going to put the price a little bit higher on the page. And I did that, and then like ran it for a few days and came back and found out that it worked worse. And so like I lost a bunch of money on that. And so there were so many of these tests and tweaks and split testing and trying things out to see what was going to work. And some of them worked better and some of them didn't. And when they didn't work better, I'd go, okay, revert back to the control, right? And then try something else. And we would do that. I talked to one of my mentors once, and I was like, hey, will you just give me, like, look at my page and just give me a laundry list of ideas of things that I could test. And he did. He got on and he looked at it. He was like, you could try this, try this, try this, try this, try changing the color of this, try changing this. And I went through and I did every single one of them, just one at a time, running split tests until we had, like 100 sales each, ideally on each variation of it, so that we could get significant data. And then we would make a decision. Okay, this one worked better. Boom, take it. Let's try something else. See which one works better. This one worked better. Okay, boom, try the next one. And I did that over and over and over again. And I went from month one making like literally nothing, like losing $10,000 a month, to month two making about $15,000. Month three made $30,000. Month four made $50,000, and month five had my first six-figure month ever. Made over $100,000 in 1 month, all from that process.
That's amazing.
And within 6 months, so like I said, it took us 3 years to hit $500,000. Within 6 months from that point, we crossed the 2 Comma Club awards. We did the other half in just 6 months. Crazy acceleration.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love how it all came down to split testing, because I feel like that's one of the most under talked about things out there right now. And it sounds like that was a complete and total game changer for you and where you were at in your process. Over 2,800 people have made it into the 2 Comma Club by making at least $1 million in their business. And you get the opportunity to understand exactly how it is that they have done it on an individual by individual basis through this podcast. If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.